changes one by one. New Conquest map. I think all this is pretty much saying in the first little bit of notes is that, like, environmental change. That's it. Like, nothing much really matters here. It's just visual improvements, more or less. I'm not really going to cover that too much. Moving down to the miscellaneous section. Additional just video improvements, so good. Not really anything to do with gameplay. Finally, stuff that matters. Oh, hi,
Hey,
Mace. How nice of you to show up.
I
Welcome.
was here and you weren't.
Okay. I am here, and you're not. Anyway, hi, Mace. I am on Conquest Jungle Map Changes.
Um, you already did,
The visual irrelevant stuff?
yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
That
last
was...
time you spent like 20 minutes on
Okay,
miscellaneous.
okay, Mace. Okay, Mace. Alright, so Conquest Jungle Camp Changes. Attack speed buff. This is actually a pretty big change. Now adds 15 magical
I
power
have,
from basic attacks and 12 physical power.
what does that mean? 15
Well,
magic
first off,
power from basic attacks. Is that 15 damage to magical basics? Or 15 magic power times
which scales...
0.35 scaling coefficient, so like plus
This
5 or 6 auto attack
this
damage.
wording is exactly why Hi-Rez needs to hire somebody else on the team to do tooltips, because
Because
this literally means nothing.
if that increases like a magical and physical auto attacks by like
15? Or,
well, I mean, we can pretty much assume it increases
yeah,
it by 12 for
for
physical.
physical it makes sense, but for magical it
But
could
for
be
magic power, there's a
35%
big
of 15.
difference. Yeah, there's a big
Be
difference between 15 and like 6 extra damage per
because
auto
if you're
attack.
adding 15 magical power to basic attacks, that's adding 35% of that. If it's adding
I'm
15...
assuming it's plus 15 damage.
Yeah, but why would they phrase it like that? That's just incorrect.
Also, why would they separate the two? You think like they would add 10 damage to either one's basic? Like I don't get why they wouldn't just make it plus 12 damage to basic attacks across the board.
Yeah, there's no reason for it to be different unless it's supposed to be times 0.35, because that doesn't really
Well
make
then,
sense.
well, if they want it to be less from magic, it's basically saying, oh, we don't want mages in dual lane.
I suppose that's fair.
But
I think it's safe to assume that it's around the like 5 magic power though. I think that's probably what it is. I can't imagine it being.
you think it's significantly lower than the fist power? Because if it's
Yeah, I think
15,
it would have to be.
then they're both about the same.
I can't imagine it not being that way. So the buff is actually something very substantial. This does create something slightly problematic, like chin size. Like maybe we'll see someone creative do something like Kali Duo Lane, where you have insane auto attack progression. And you get like 12, 12, 12, 12 instead of how it should be. So
Yeah.
maybe we might see some super cheese like that with this change. Kali ADC could become a thing.
Also, 12 extra power is huge. That's like
Yeah. Well, it's only the
almost
basics.
mannequin passive.
It's only the basics.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh yeah, you'll be it's pretty comparable to mannequins, I guess. It's definitely less like definitively, but it's a ton of damage. So aggressive dual lanes are still going to be a thing. Do you
Also,
agree with this change? Do you think it was necessary? Do you think it's good?
okay, well, the buff sucked before. It was like
Yeah.
if it like happened to be on the ground like 20 feet away from you, it wasn't worth walking over to pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. If you miss like
Now you
2 auto
actually get it.
attacks of lane push to get the buff, it
Another
wasn't worth it.
another interesting side effect of this change is like, well, maybe this doesn't apply exactly, but oh, actually, I don't know. Do you think this is gonna work to with like golden bow or something? Like throwing dagger.
Oh, that's
Do
a
you
good
think the
question.
extra
I
12
think
damage
so.
is gonna be splashed or not?
Well, I think it's going to be like, if you would hit for 30, now you're going to hit for 42, and then it's going to be that
Yeah,
42
if you
times
hit
the
for 42,
0.3.
then it'll spread. If you hit for 30 still and there's just a plus 12 number on
I don't
top
think
of
it's going to be
that,
like that. I would doubt that. I think it would work like red when it's adding. Because that's all that would make sense to me.
it's hard to talk about this precisely though until we know exactly how it works.
Right. I think it's good that they're making the buff not completely useless, so maybe it's a bit too strong, but regardless, it's good that it's not just the useless buff that it was before, so I approve of the direction at the very least. Alright, moving on. Next thing is camp spawns. Fixed incorrect leashing mechanics. Before, if you reset a camp, it would actually like, and another person was in range, it would go back and try to reset. Now that bug is just fixed. It was just a small bug, so not much to really say about that. It's just working as intended now. The known issue with it is um, the spawning of minions. That was really annoying. How that you like literally saw them there but couldn't damage them. So that's really good. Good quality of life change. Nothing much else to say. Mid harpy camps. This is actually a pretty big change, and I don't really see a reason for it. But mid harpy camps are now on a delayed spawn. They first appear 3 minutes into the match. What do you think about that?
Um, okay, so I was thinking about like level one starts before, and like since the map's actually symmetrical or actually symmetric, whatever. Um, it's like it was already kind of arbitrary because how everyone always started on the right side, but now like both sides in theory, since the map's symmetric, should do the exact same start, which means like basically whoever has the stronger level one will always be getting the mid harpies.
Right, I
So
agree.
that would start to feel kind of. It would allow for a lot more cheese. I mean, I like level one strats, but I think it's probably better because I think it inevitably would to a kind of dumb spot where like the stronger early game gods would just have a higher chance of snowballing.
I agree
So
with
it's
this
probably
change
better this
completely,
way.
but I would highly doubt that this is why they added it. I think people complained about something about mids, and they changed it.
I have no idea, man.
It's tough to get a read on high res sometimes, but if this change was in prediction of the map being symmetrical so you can test mid harpies and it being more snowbally, kudos to high res, but I don't think many people other than like theory crafters in the pro scene would really anticipate this. But if high res did it for that reason, kudos to them. But I agree completely. Lane mechanics.
I think there was actually a thread like
I
I saw that
believe
suggested in some
Hi
sort
best.
of thread earlier,
You're echoey.
like where
am I?
I think Dryberger's to a comment that suggested that from some random or someone I didn't
Okay,
recognize.
so it was
Is that
completely
better?
arbitrary instead of calculated. Okay, that would make sense. That would make complete sense. The time to earn rewards from tagging damaging minions has been reduced from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. Um,
Cool.
I don't know what to think about this. Seems a
Yes,
bit
that does.
arbitrary. Not bad. Maybe the last old time was too long. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it really matters.
I agree. I don't think it'll really change
It,
gameplay
it
that
might.
much.
Yeah, honestly, it did feel a little weird how
It was it
like if
was a bit
Sylvanas,
long,
like if you're a Sylvanas, you could dot the mid wave,
and then
and your
15
dot goes
seconds
on for
later,
like seconds.
yeah.
Yeah, and you could be like in left back in dual lane and still be getting gold basically. So I don't know. It's whatever. Fine.
Okay, item changes. Achilles Spear. This item now provides 30% movement speed for the duration. Attack speed increased from 25% to 30%. Now branches off of Sprint 1. So keep in mind this is the item that makes you take like 30% more increased damage for the duration. What do you guys think of this item?
Still seems pretty bad.
I would agree. I don't really see a reason to make you like
Like I don't know.
incredibly
Even
squishy.
even like the other three, it still seems like a better offense option. I don't know. Maybe this finds some use now in its current form on someone like Callie, in a kind of cheesy way. You know, like go into your alt and just chase people. You have move speed, you have attack speed,
Right. Yeah, Kali
but
could actually be a really niche use. That's pretty
yeah,
creative.
like maybe in a very specific case like that. But I still think it would be hard on someone like Callie even to justify giving up beads or Aegis or whatever.
Right, exactly.
It seems weird.
Having super situational items like this could be really good though. Even if you use it like
Yeah, it's not
literally
inherently bad.
one in like 100 cases, having that niche item does add for more diversity. So it's good that it exists, but it's not really in a great spot right now. Anyway, so I don't think it'll be picked up still. Maybe someone will find a creative use for it, like you said on Kali, who can alt the damage, but I don't think it's gonna see play. Bloodforge. This is a gigantic change. I'm actually a little surprised of how gigantic it is. Um, Bloodforge cost reduced from 26.25 to 22.65. Lifesteal decreased from 20% to 15%. Max stacks reduced from 5 to 3, and lifesteal per stack increased from 2 to 3%. So total stacks before, you would be at 5 times 2, which is 10% lifesteal. Now it's going to be at 9%, which is, for all intents and purposes, the same. Um, but you're losing a little bit of lifesteal and a little bit of phys power basically for reduced cost. So, what do you think of the change?
Uh, so I don't know. This could be pretty big because like part of the problem with going anything like Transcendence or Heartseeker first right now
Hmm.
is like the other lifesteal items just suck. Like
Yeah,
Asi's not
exactly,
horrible, but it's kind of eh. Um, and like Soul Eater was horrible, and Blood Forge was too expensive to get like as a third item after boots.
exactly. It
So
slowed down your build
maybe
too much for
maybe you're gonna be
overkill
able
and
to go
lifesteal.
like something like Transcendence boots Blood Forge.
Especially with
Yeah,
the
'cause
lack
I
of
don't know.
blue buff, maybe that'll be more possible.
Yeah, something like this. This could be pretty big. I just think it's gonna be hard still to like overcome the efficiency of something like Devo Boots Executioner, because like
Right,
if you do that build, it just like the attack speed from Executioner comes at the perfect time.
exactly.
Like, because yeah, that's part the other problem with going like a different stacking item like Transcendence or Heartseeker. You don't like you want to go for high power, but then you also want to be picking up like life steal and attack
Yeah,
speed, and you can't have life steal, attack speed, and power at third item unless you get Devo still. But I think this definitely makes it more viable. Like it opens up the possibility of like Transcendence builds coming into favor.
yeah. I think this change also fits into what they've been doing in the recent past with the PTS. They've just kind of like reduced the price of almost every high cost item for a lot of characters, and this just kind of fits in line with that. I don't really know what to think about that because it makes and getting to the end of your build really fast sometimes. But I think this could lead to more diverse builds, so I think it's a good change in the right direction. We'll see if it's too strong because that price change is really, really gigantic. So we'll see how it plays out. Also, something to note: with the old item before, you were paying for basically like getting to 5 stacks, but it's so much more effective to put the brunt of the power in like just 3 stacks because that's like what you're going to be getting to on average in a fight before the stacks fall off. So you're not always going to be like 5 stacks constantly auto attacking like in the middle of a fight. So the reduced stacks makes this item just more viable to use in the first place because you're not paying for stats that you're never going to get to use. So might lead to more build diversity. This item might be a bit too strong after this. It's really, really hard to say because it would be hard to fit in a build regardless, but we'll see how it plays out. I think it's a good change, at least for promoting build diversity. Moving on to Bluestone Pendant. Um, so when I read this change at first on my own before doing the show, I assumed that this removed the 4% of missing mana.
No,
Um, no,
that
this
would have
item
been
is
horrible.
absolutely insane now. It was already really good on as a niche pickup on people like Sun Wukong. I didn't test it on Herc, but it would make sense on him, um, and maybe even ADCs. But now this item is absolutely insane. People
Do
like
you really think
Guan
this
will
buffs
never
it that
go in.
much?
I think it does. Imagine every minute you get another spell off. That's pretty significant. It doesn't buff it actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, quite as much as I think because if you have a little bit more MP5, you'll get less effect out of the passive, so it's not quite that because of the diminished efficiency of it. But um,
Well, that only applies
the
if
the
you're
biggest
looking at
thing,
how long total you can stay out instead of how often you can use moves.
well, the thing is for people like Guan who have to use their heal on cooldown sometimes, it really helps them. And as far as early game, even 5 MP5 is pretty big. Um, and Bluestone Pendant was a little bit lacking in the early game, so I think that's what they wanted to do with this item. I think this change could make it more or less standard for ADCs. It's tough to say, but maybe people like Neath, maybe people like Cupid, maybe could use this item. I think it's a significant buff, even though it seems relatively small. Thoughts best? Are you alive over
No,
there?
Oh,
he's dead.
I don't even have the notes.
Oh,
I'm not
What?
even listening, man. I'm just here, cause
I figured. Okay, best. Thank you for adding your 2 cents. Charged bow now triggers lightning every fourth hit instead of randomly. I think I'm gonna guess that the proc chance before was 25%, so this change is very good. RNG is a big no-no in my book, so I approve of the change. That any change that gets rid of RNG is pretty much good. Reduce attack speed from 25% to 20%, and reduce cost from 1350 to 1200. That makes the item a lot better. I'd have to math it out to see if it's actually good now, since that cost change is pretty significant. I don't know the exact stats on it, but I like the lack of RNG in it now. I think that makes it smarter. So it's just good change. No reason to have it not have been like that in the first place. Mace, what do you think?
Uh, for sorry, for charge bow.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good that they moved the RNG. Uh, hard to say if it would still be. I
Right.
know, probably still won't be picked up, but
You're
maybe.
lacking a lot of his power early, so it's tough to say.
Yeah.
This is an
Well,
item that you
also,
basically just have to number crunch, and it's tough to say already if it's good or not.
yeah, no, but I don't know if you said this, but the other thing that's actually pretty big is like, if this works in conjunction with the new power on auto attacks from the purple buff, this item is actually pretty significant for wave clear then.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. Um, as we talked about earlier, for people just tuning in, uh, they changed the purple buff to add damage to basic attacks. If it works as we think it does, which it just increases the base damage of your thing instead of adding another like yellow number, it would additionally splash the bonus damage from the purple buff. And if that's the case, this item
Uh,
is also better.
Shadow?
Yes.
I know, never mind. I was looking at the wrong thing. No, for a second never mind.
Okay.
I'm just trying to like update a spreadsheet with the new values. No, never mind.
Okay,
Okay.
nice. Okay. So situationally, probably good. Tough to say without number crunching it. That's really a thing you have to number crunch through. Charged Morningstar added back +4 MP5 to this item. That doesn't matter pretty much whatsoever. Um, do you think maybe I'm wrong about that, Mace, or is that pretty straightforward?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Uh, one more thing going back to charge bow though.
Okay.
Uh, I assume the passive is changed for like Odysseus's bow also.
That might be a bit later. Yeah, yeah. We'll see that
Oh,
down the line.
it's just off the. Oh
Right.
yeah, I
It's
guess
alphabetized.
that makes
It's
sense that it wouldn't be.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
So Charge
go ahead.
Morningstar, pretty straightforward. I'm going to move on to Death Toll since that change is pretty null. So Death Toll. This change is also really insignificant, but we'll go through it regardless. Increased health gain per hit from 5 to 6. Decreased mana gain per hit from 1.5 to 1. Do you think this changes the viability of it like whatsoever, or is it pretty much going to always be picked up in the same way?
Well, the reason for the change I think is to help differentiate it from Bluestone Pendant,
Hmm.
into more health sustain versus mana sustain.
That seems fair.
It seems like maybe a slight nerf, but I don't think it really changes much. The item still feels the same as a
Right.
whole.
As
So
as far as design purpose, like you said, I
yeah,
agree with differentiating the items. So it's a smart change, even though it doesn't really change the item individually. Not much to say about this. I think you'll get it every time you would have before. So irrelevant change, but good for differentiation. Fist of the Gods. The changes from the last PTS were fully reverted. And for those of you who don't know the old changes, basically they remove this item, this active, from splitting off from Hand of the Gods into its own active for like a exorbitant amount of gold. So it's back on the same tier as Hog now, so you can actually, you know, not look like a fool for picking it up. Um, that being said, I think this item always has been more or less a noob trap. Uh, it baits junglers into getting Fist of the Gods when they probably shouldn't. Like you could spend 700 gold or however much it costs. I don't even know. Or 600 gold from Hog 1 into getting an active that you probably could be spending into items instead. And at low levels, I think this is like a gigantic noob trap. People get it way too early so often because they're like, wow, 1 second CC? How could I possibly pass that up? Um, so as far as it being in the game, I don't know how to think about it. It's good for a competitive level because people will make that mistake like not ever. Um, but again, I kind of wish it wasn't in the game for that reason. That being said, this change reverting it to back to viability is good, so I approve. Anything else to say, Mace? Or best if you decide to wake up from your
Nope.
basically dead-like coma.
nope.
All right.
Oh,
Playing
see the
League of
chat and stuff.
Lasagna.
It seems, yeah,
Okay,
you
best.
got it. This was pretty bad.
Yep. This change is good for you, Mace. Greater purification.
Oh.
Averted the change to beads from
Oh,
last PTS and made the following change: CDR reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds.
no, okay. I hate this.
I know.
I hate this. I don't even care if it's like objectively there. I just want to be able to use an ability and instantly use the same ability again. Like it's actually like the most thing in the game for me. It's also I think one of the higher skill cap things in the
Yep.
game,
Hmm.
and it was overpowered. I loved it.
I agree with you completely. It was one of the most overpowered things in the game. It's one of the things that you could tell how good or bad a player was, and you were probably one of the only people to even use it moderately correctly. Um, and it's hilarious because it was so overpowered before. Like you said, this is probably
Okay.
a objectively better change, but a sad one at the same time.
Honestly, I want like they should have like an offshoot. I don't care. Make it cost like 3,000 gold, and reduce the cooldowns by 5 seconds. So like I can at least go into like
Maybe add one for like
games that aren't
4,000.
tourney
That's like a
games.
10-second CD reduction.
Yeah, that'd be
That would
perfect.
be that'd be
No, but
that'd be
like
amazing.
I want the option for okay, like how am I supposed to chain stun someone from one spirit vault into the next one with only 3 seconds of reduction?
There you go.
That's just not gonna work.
Beautiful theory crafting for Macetodaface. All right, moving on to
You'll
Hydra's
still get
Lament.
beads like every single
Oh
game,
yeah,
no matter what.
no matter what.
But like
Hydra's
it's still
Lament.
by far the best
Well,
ever.
let's move on, Mace. I know you have strong opinions about that, but I think you're gonna have to let that go for now. Hydra's Lament fixed an issue with next successful attack not working properly. Fixed an issue with damage not being plus 25%. Just a bug fix, nothing to say. I'm gonna skip over that one. Same thing, just a bug fix. Lotus Crown. Passive changes to any gods affected by your heals gain plus 20 physical and 20 magical protection for 5 seconds. Cannot be casted on the same target for 10 seconds. And a slight price decrease. I don't know exactly what this
The
item was before, but
the
I'm gonna
old
guess that
passive,
it could proc like once, not based on your target. Or
no,
what was the old
uh,
passive?
the old passive was fifth fist prot,
Hmm.
right? For 3 seconds. Everything else was the same,
Okay,
or
gotcha.
except the cost, obviously. So it's 5 more fist prot and 20 magic prot added to it, and
And the 2 second duration
now it has
increase.
50% uptime instead of like 30%.
Yeah,
That's a
the
big buff.
uptime is the biggest change by far because before you'd kind of like heal after a fight and it would be irrelevant, or you'd heal like
What I think
when
the prot's even bigger than that.
you think.
I mean, both are big.
I mean, both are big, but well, before the item kind of sucked because you'd heal when people are retreating, not necessarily when they're going to take damage, because you can't give up the heal time. But
Yeah, well, I
now the
think
duration
also
increase is
getting
just simply gigantic.
it's also just 25 more total buffs.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean,
Um,
before
what are the
sometimes
stats
there
on
were
this
going to be
item?
a lot of cases where you'd get the protections, even if it had like 1,000 protections, it wouldn't matter because you wouldn't heal them necessarily at that time because they'd either be weakening or it wouldn't matter. So this change might make the item viable.
Still a little awkward. Like I
Yeah,
said this when
again,
I
this is
first
something you have
viewed
to
it.
math
Like
out.
breastplate seems better. Maybe this might actually make it a good pickup on like.
Hell?
I was thinking like a support maybe, because that's like a sovereignty type aura.
Oh, this is
I
actually
know
I don't know the math. I don't know the actual base stats. Does it give magical
it's
power or
40 magic power,
okay?
30 fist rot.
Okay, so you can't get it on a physical character. I was gonna say that that could be really good on Guan. Even if
Yeah, I wanted to
even if
say
it
Guan, but I was
literally
like, dang.
gave zero magic power for the same cost, you'd probably get it on Guan. Seriously, like I think that's a bit strange of what Hi-Rez is doing to items. Things like Runic Shield, even if it didn't give any physical power, you'd still pick it up on magical characters sometimes, and it's really weird that you can't. I mean, I get that you don't want to have people building items that will just simply not help them, but items like that are just simply strong enough that you could get it on
Well,
anybody, so
I think part of the philosophy, and I could be wrong, but judging by the boots change, how like all boots give power now, it seems like they want supports to feel like they're doing a little more damage and just like providing more good options for them to get power while going tanky. So I think
that's a
that's why they're
that's a
putting
fair
power
change.
on the tank items. I
Right.
know, maybe that's just a coincidental because those are the items they've been adding, but it seems like the direction they're going for.
Fair enough. Again, this item is something that you'll have to really do the math on to see if it's better or not, and if it is good, you'll only get it on niche gods that will obviously not only have a heal, but you'd benefit from like to a really, really big amount. Mannequin Scepter. Praise Jeebus. When we reviewed this item last time and saw it in patch notes for the first time, we said this item was the most overpowered item to be released in Smite in like a long, long
Ever.
time. It
Prob-
proved to be completely true. It was like 40 plus physical power for 800 gold. Oh yeah, that's just from the passive. It also had 20 physical power on it, so 60 phys power, 800 gold, and an 8% slow. No big deal. It's completely balanced. Whoever did
Well,
the
it was
math on
like
that was just a
40
genius.
effective total, not 60 effective total.
Well, if you kept going, it was like 50 or it was like a max of 50 or
What?
so, right?
No, it didn't. It
Because then
didn't
it'll be
really
30, 30,
increase.
30.
Yeah, but that was you would have to still. I mean, I guess it depends on the
Regardless, it was
frequency
just
of your auto attacks.
it was an insanely high amount and was grossly overpowered, so its removal is good.
I want to know Cyrus.
Oh yeah.
I was Osiris mid one
Oh
game
yeah,
in the
best.
PTS,
Hmm.
and I walked into the enemy jungle, and I just auto attacked 3 people to death and got a
Ah
triple
yeah,
kill
part
at
of it.
level 1
Very nice. This
with
item is actually
mannequins.
not as overpowered as the previous Dementor's doll, but its overpoweredness
Well,
should not be
Dementor's doll was
overlooked.
bugged though. This
No, it
was working
wasn't.
as intended. Yeah,
Dementor's doll
no,
was
it was
not
supposed to
bugged.
have like a 3-second ICD I heard, and it had a 0-second ICD.
No, it had an ICD still. It was like a 1 second ICD, or it procced once three like 3 times. That's how I remember it. Anyway, just the fact that we're comparing this item to uh 1 second ICD Soul Reaver, Mini Soul Reaver is pretty bad to say how overpowered it was. Anyway, let's move on since I think everyone and their mother can agree that this item was overpowered. Magi's Blessing, cost increase from 2100 to 2250. Remove CCR from this item. Um, that's pretty strange. It seems a little bit out of the blue. Usually they've been only buffing items that weren't like completely core. That being said, this item was very, very strong. I don't know what to think about its nerf though. Thoughts, Mace?
Um, I feel like the crowd control reduction wasn't a huge deal on the item for like assassins. That I
Right.
think that mainly hurts supports from picking it
Yeah.
up. 'Cause I
It,
feel like for like an assassin, the big part is just the bubble itself.
I
Obviously,
agreed completely. Because on an
I don't.
assassin, you'd immune the first one and beat the second one, and even if it's reduced, you're gonna die out of the next CC anyway.
I could be wrong, but it almost feels like it's just gonna get picked up like the same amount for like assassins at least because
Yeah, I agree on that part.
for an assassin, it's kind of like when you need the bubble, you need the bubble. Like even if it costs like 300 more, it might start to hurt the rest of your build a lot, but you might have even still gone for it. Well, maybe not
Agreed.
300 more. That's a bit extreme,
But
but
none the
I,
point remains though.
it's still gonna be bought a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much on supports though.
Yeah, on supports it actually hurts a lot. Maybe you could go reinforce Greaves now or something, but that item is pretty inefficient. Because the CCR on a support matter because you just kind of like soak CC, and it just helped immensely the CCR at least. So I don't know what to think about this nerf. It'll still be picked up on assassins for sure. On supports, maybe people can find more efficient buys, but in the cases where you have like an Athena on the enemy team or a Thor, I think you still need Magi's on support as well. Just you will get it slightly less often. Okay, let's move on. Magi's Cloak removed crowd control reduction from this item. That's just rank 2 of it. Same thing, nothing really much to talk about there. Ninja Tabby decreased physical power from 30 to 20. Removed CDR from this item, added 15% attack speed. I'm a little
Uh,
bit confused. What's the difference in boots now then?
okay, so Warrior Tabby, got attack fist power changed from 30 to 40, and your attack speed was moved from Warrior
Aha,
Tabby.
I see. So you'll literally
So
never get
now,
this item.
well, no, so now it's 20 fist power and 15% attack speed versus 40 fist power,
Right, so
which
you'll literally
seems
never
like
get the item.
um maybe I don't know. The 15% attack speed could scale better in ADCs as the game continues,
Yeah, of
but
course it will, but
40 fist
imagine.
power is definitely better, stronger power spike when you finish boots. So I imagine even if like 15% attack speed like mathematically works out better as you reach like fourth or fifth item, I can't imagine people are gonna bypass the immediate fist power from Warrior Tabby. It seems too strong.
Right. Okay, Odysseus bow? Actually, I'm gonna stick on this item just for another second. I think another thing to be said about this is I don't think they wanted like people like hunters to have CDR, and using your abilities more calculatedly makes more sense, I think. So maybe that's what they were going for with removing CDR. Other than that, it seems like a bit of an arbitrary change. Maybe they thought it was too strong. Maybe they think this gives people more of a choice, but I don't know. I don't really see a reason for the change inherently. It just seems a bit strange, I think. Anyway, let's move on. Odysseus bow, we mentioned a little bit about this before. Got rid of RNG, now every fourth hit, and price reduced. Same thing as the other item. You'll just have to math it out and see how good it is. That's pretty much it. potentially good, probably bad. We'll see. Moving on, since I think we all agree with that. Poly fixed a bug. That's it. Runic Shield. Okay, finally a significant change, probably. Passive aura has been changed. All enemies within 55 have their magic power reduced by 50. Reduced magical protection from 70 to 50.
What was the old?
I think it
Let me
also
find
reduced attack speed. I
Let me
think they
find
just
it.
got rid of the attack speed,
Or
maybe?
all enemies within range 55 have their attack speed reduced by 15% and magic power reduced by 50.
Right, so they only got rid of the attack speed, which was completely irrelevant because if you got this from magical characters, all that mattered is magic power. So, kind of a random change. Also reduced magic prot from 70 to 50. Pretty big nerf. You probably won't get it on supports because of the magic prot change as
Yeah,
often.
I think the other big thing that prevents this from being picked up on support is since it just reduces your power, it's at its strongest like early game. So maybe you'll
Yeah.
see it on like a solo laner. Because like if your opponent has
And I
100
think
or
it was a bit too
120
strong on
magic
solo
power,
before.
yeah, but if you have like
So,
100 magic power, being cut down to 50 it hurts a lot. If you have 600 magic power, going to 550, you don't even notice it almost. So,
yeah,
like
I think it's probably a warranted nerf. Warriors might have been too strong before, so overall good change. Doesn't really nerf supports, which is good. So yeah,
the attack speed part seems irrelevant for the most
it
part,
was irrelevant to begin with though, so
or out of place at least.
yeah, definitely out of place. So it's good design-wise that they get rid of it. Shield of the Underworld. Passive change upon activation reflect 40% of all the damage you take before mitigations for the next 5 seconds back to its owner as magical damage. While this is active, enemies cannot lifesteal from you. Again, this is hard to recognize the change. I can't see anything different. Do you have the old patch notes up?
For Shield of the Underworld,
Yeah.
it's pre-mitigation now. It
It's
reflects the true
pre-mitigation.
damage you.
Okay.
So like if you're a support,
Hmm.
before like if someone krakened you and the kraken hit you for 100,
It'll hit
you'd
them
do
for
40
basically
damage to them.
100.
Now they're gonna kraken you for 1,000 and one shot those. But
Yeah.
you'll still only take like 100, but they'll take like 400 damage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's going through their mitigation though, or is it true damage?
No, it went through their mitigation before, I think.
Right. Okay. So this makes it do a little bit more damage for sure.
Wait, could you lifesteal off them before?
I don't think
Or
so.
okay.
Okay. So yeah, it used to be true damage before. Now it's like the other way around. So it just
Oh, it
flips.
was true damage before?
Yeah. But it was
So
post
that means
mitigation, I think.
that's still a buff for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a buff. If it was post mitigation before.
Because most likely the gods that are picking this up are gonna have more options on themselves than the people they're trying to reflect
Mhm.
to.
Anyway, still a
Um,
really super niche item. We'll see. Maybe people will be
yeah,
creative with
like
it.
I don't know,
It
maybe
existing in
something
the
with
game
Hercules.
is probably
Ooh.
good for diversity's sake.
Also, I want to know if is true. Okay, so true damage is more protections, right? But is that before any damage modifiers?
You know, some
Like
things are really niche. I wouldn't really look into it that much.
no, no, no. I'm just
I know it's
hypothetically
significant, but
like okay, if you have Bacchus passive,
Mhm.
does is that considered pre-mitigation? Because
I
I
actually
think
don't know
true
the way
damage
that
might
works.
only be referring to options. Alternatively, what if you have Achilles spear? Does that increase how much you're reflecting now, or is the true damage before you
Are you
take the
saying like
30% extra?
get Achilles spear and Shield of the Underworld to make you take more damage so you reflect more?
Yeah, but I don't know if that works anymore because it's
That would be basically amazing.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on then. Shoes of the Magi magical power increased from 50 to 65. Very significant change. I'm assuming CDR boots are still in the game then. So you're choosing from like 65 magical power versus what was on the CDR boots, 30 or 40?
Um, what
What's CDR boot? How much magic power do CDR boots have?
magic power?
Yeah.
Did they change magic boots? Oh, they
Yeah,
have
the next change.
30. Yeah, okay. The
Yeah, okay, so you're choosing between
CDR boots have 30 magic.
35 magic power and like 15% CDR. Pretty good choice. Definitely adds options. Probably a good change since it was a little bit lower than it should have been. Maybe it's a bit too much now, hard to say. Probably still CDR boots will see favored. We'll see. Spirit Robe decreased physical and magical prots from 45 to 40. The item seemed really strong at first, but And it was pretty strong, but the lack of health made it a much later game pickup, so you couldn't really afford to get it early, and this change might kill it almost completely. Still might be stronger late game. It's tough to say, but maybe an unwarranted change. We'll see. Soulstone, this item has been removed. That's probably good because it wasn't really correctly tuned. It was a bit weak, so I mean, if it's an item you'll literally never get, good that it's out of the game. They probably could have tuned it if they really wanted it in, so a bit strange they removed it. Maybe they didn't want a repeat of mannequin, so tough to say what they were thinking, but either way, adding an item that you literally never got was okay. Sovereignty, this change is absolutely gigantic. Increased physical protection from 30 to 55. Supports are now no longer squishy, again, so supports will be like way stronger as an actual support now instead of I'm going to run around and do damage and not support things. Uh, what do you think of the change, Mace?
Um, I didn't have a good gauge on exactly how strong like Sav was like looking in the last batch, but
I think people like a lot of the pro supports said that it was really terrible to get, but from the aura alone, like just for teammates,
yeah,
made it worth it most of the time still. So this change is
it
a
probably could have
gigantic buff to support.
probably could have been fine at like 40, 45,
I think so too.
while still providing like more of a it would have felt better for sports
Right.
that number still.
Now, granted, this is still a nerf from the initial thing because they basically get rid of the physical prot on the aura, I believe. So you're still down like 20 phys prot, but this puts it closer to a better spot because supports were very, very squishy before. Temporal, temporal purification beads, these were removed. They replaced it with just the same beads with a 3-second CDR. Maybe easier to new players that it's just one thing. Transcendence added
Or
back MP5 to this item. Whatever, doesn't matter. You had infinite mana with it anyway. Warlock Sash. Further changes from the previous PTS. Do you know what these changes were, Mace?
uh, if I remember correctly, they decreased the total health you could get. Oh, no, it was like the same total health at full stacks,
Oh,
but you
right.
got less initial, and there was like 10 less total magic power or something.
Right, it was a small nerf to the item. I don't think it really made a difference, but I don't think the item was overpowered, so unwarranted change to begin with is reverted.
I feel like you just wouldn't
Eh,
have gotten it if the nerf went through. Well, maybe it would have been
fair
solo still.
enough. Fair enough.
Maybe
So
you would have
maybe it
been
puts
solo
it back
still.
to a spot where it should be. It was definitely an over nerf, but whether it really mattered that much, we'll see. Okay, so Watcher's Gift. This passive has been changed. Being within 60 range of minion death without dealing the killing blow awards 4 bonus gold, 10 health, and 5 mana. Um, this is exactly where it should be. Um, this makes the item extremely strong yet again. Not that it wasn't strong before. People overvalued Vanguard immensely, but the lack of mana on Watcher's Gift just was more of a quality of life thing. So putting it in this spot is really good. Comparing it to Watcher's Gift on live currently, um, there are 6 minions in a wave, and a wave is every 30 seconds, so you get 5 MP5, which is the exact same as it is on live right now. So if you get, or if you're in range of every wave creep, this gives the exact same amount of HP5 and MP5 as live Watcher's Gift. It's just a slight nerf to gold, but it's more it's more gold if your ADC isn't really less hitting things. So I'm actually being told by viewers that Smithy's hammer price was increased to 1300. They forgot to put it in patch notes. So let's go over that
That's
change
just
real
the
quick.
T2 though.
Yeah, this is just T2. The total price is the same, but what this prevents is like Smithy's hammer rank 2 into Hog in the opener.
Hog and pots. Yeah.
Um, it's pretty significant to solo laners. Bruisers might
Probably
not
just
see as
like
much
won't
use,
do that start.
maybe, but there's probably
Well,
like
if
like
you
you said,
go,
there's
you
gonna be
have to
another
do
creative
like
start.
you would have to do like a start item in rank 1 or something, and or I don't even know. No, you couldn't do rank 1. You wouldn't get Hog with like a 800 gold starter then. But
It's tough to say how
it
this
hurts it a
affects
lot.
anything, but the start is significantly worse. Like with the lack of protections, maybe assassins could see another uprising. Like imagine if you can just not get enough prots and they can just get a kill on a warrior that has a Smithy's rank 1 instead of 2 or something. So maybe we'll see some
Oh,
creative use of it.
in lane.
Yeah, in like
I
early
don't
lane.
think it'll change that much in
I don't
terms of
think
how
so.
tanky
That's
they are.
that's the upper end of the change potentially, but definitely hurts it in some way. Witchblade, this item no longer provides movement speed. That's actually completely gigantic. It probably didn't really deserve to have movement speed on it to begin with. I don't know why it did. It was an extremely strong item before. You'll still get it as a niche use when your teammates suck and you need to get a phys as much defense for them as humanly possible. Tough to say when it'll be picked up now, but certainly is less optimal.
I like that change.
I
The most
think
annoying.
I
Okay, because
love this
like,
item as a support, but I like this change
well,
design-wise.
part of the thing that's really dumb is like when a solo laner or someone had
Yeah,
boots and witchblade, like it got to the point where like I could agni bomb them like as a mage, like dead center, and they can just walk out from the dead center in time,
yeah.
and like while having 200 fizz D, so I don't know, it kind of made them like invincible. It made them too easy for them to dodge everything mages would try to
I
do,
agree
and too
100%.
easy to escape,
Same with
and
supports.
then they
I
just
think
tanked fizz long-term damage.
I think movement speed on items that aren't boots should just be reduced across the board. This is a step in the right direction. This nerfs like chase down solo laners immensely. It makes it less clunky for mages to play against and is a good change overall. I would even
Also,
honestly
it's
call for like maybe a price reduction to items that currently have move speed, but just remove like half of the move speed on it to make it less clunky. So this is definitely a good change in my book. I would also nerf items like maybe even Winged Blade. I know that item is for move speed, but maybe just the base move speed should be reduced. So,
it's also really dumb when like let's say I'm Scylla. What happens sometimes with like Witchblade, especially if they have like speed buff, is like
mhm.
you would like jump away like over a wall away from someone like let's say Nemesis or
Right.
Cyrus, and then they would just catch up to you like even if they don't use their dash.
Yeah,
Like then you would
exactly.
need to jump over the next wall, and they could just chase you around the map no matter what.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess assassins are supposed to be able to chase down, but with someone
Well,
like
it
Scylla, it
was a
feels
bit
like you should be able
too
to get
much.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was definitely too much. So I approve of this change. I also approve for removing move speed from. I honestly, if I was in charge of the game, I would probably just flat out remove speed buff and replace it with something just as strong but less cheesy, like remove movement speed from almost every other item. Like maybe make it like a 5% max on items other than boots. It just feels cheesy. It lets people that are unaware get mowed down. It's bad for casual play, and it promotes too much snowballing. I don't know. This item is good in my book. Getting into it a little bit more is kind of a different issue, but I approve of the change nonetheless. Okay, Warrior Tabby. Increase physical power from 30 to 40. Remove attack speed from this item. So now you're choosing between attack
20
speed
power and
boots,
15 attack speed.
yeah, versus power boots. We'll see what'll happen. I think the
Attack
power
speed
boots
could be
will
viable.
probably be better, but yeah, attack speed could be viable in a niche case, I guess.
Well, it would
It
also
would
like
definitely be on a god
it
that probably doesn't have attack
complements
speed in its kit already for diminishing efficiency, but
if there's a build where you go like Transcendence boots, and then you pick up Blood
right.
Forge for your lifesteal, you'll
Yeah,
definitely need the attack speed
I
boots.
agree 100%, but if you're going
Like
a more
that
standard
attack
build
speed
like
boots
Devo gloves and like execution or
into
crit,
Xe.
then this item will be better. I would guess because like the damage scaling on your moves is relevant too. People can't forget that. This item seems better
Yeah.
in most cases unless the overall build changes, which I could see with these item changes. So it's something that'll have to be watched. Either way, I don't think items really. Either way, I don't think either item is in a bad spot though. So we'll see how it pans out. Finally, God and balance updates slash fixes. The first one being AMC, and after that is a bunch of other ADCs. I think they just so happen to start with A's. But for all the ADCs here, the change is pretty much the same. They increase the base attack speed by a small amount, and then they increase the attack speed gain per level by a pretty much small amount. I,
Also, for most ADCs, they changed base attack speed anywhere from like 2 to 5%. They increased the attack speed per level from like zero point 0.3 to 2%.
yeah, I don't think this
It's
will
so it's
matter
oh
that
no that
much.
yes well it means at like level 20 it's like maybe 9% 8% attack speed.
Which is
Um,
significant, but
but one thing that's notable is Shibalanke didn't get any attack speed per level, but instead he got like 12 in attack speed at level 1.
what
Like
was
that
your Blanca's
he
change
got by far the
exactly?
biggest buff out of
I'll
all
go
of
down to
them.
him real quick. His attack speed increased from 0.88 to 1. Yeah, that's a lot considering he didn't gain attack speed per level.
that's more than like
That's
anyone
like
gets
12.
if you include their attack speed boost over 20
That's
levels.
like 15% more attack speed just from that change alone. That's absolutely
Yeah.
gigantic at max level. Like,
That's like getting the attack speed boost for free.
yeah, exactly. That change is completely huge. It's like he lacked an
Or
attack speed
alternatively,
sterry
you could think of
before.
it as like a free fist power.
Yeah, exactly. Also, all other attack speed will scale better because of it, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that
I
is how
believe
it
that's how
works.
it works.
Interesting changes. I don't really know why they did it. I think they didn't want to see the death of ADCs. They just kind of nerfed or buffed them in a way that would scale into late game better. So, I think it's smart the way they're trying to fix it. Their wave clear still is garbage. It's kind of weird the way they did it, but we'll see. I don't really have a strong opinion of these changes. It seems largely insignificant. Uh, it's so hard to say how this will pan out. I kind of approve of it because they're being picked up less and less, and this might make them see play. Other than that, I don't really have any strong thoughts. It's considering it's such a relatively small change as to what it could have been. What do you think, Mace?
I agree. Well, no, but also like I know you can kind of like if you think about the attack speed boost, like from a gold perspective, how much gold they don't have to spend on to get the attack speed stat, like that, like this is kind of a weird comparison. But basically, like the gold you went towards doing more damage could just go towards pots if you really want it to, and like you basically have blue buff if you want. I mean, people still won't do that, but I'm just saying like
It's a
this
fair
actually might make
comparison to see how they were buffed.
yeah this might make ADCs will probably be like as in favor as they were before, unless it's just because people don't feel like it. But this makes them strong, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very smart change, not just like a blanket buff, but a buff that affects them only late game, for the most part. Um, so I can't really say that I am against it. Moving on to the first non-ADC change. Chrono stop time. Fix not reducing enemy attack speed, just to fix the bug. Doesn't really matter. Cupid flutter bug fixed. Now gives him attack speed properly at ranks 1 and 2. Hu Yi, same attack speed buff. Kukulkan, fixed whirlwind damage, still lasting 2 seconds instead of 2.5. Description, just bug fixes overall. Osiris, fixed issues with healing and mana not received, or mana received not applying to owners. Just another bug fix, not much to say about that. Now it's just working as it should. Rama, same change. Sylvanas, this ability, people have been overhyping this immensely, but we'll see how it pans out. Sylvanas Wisps, this ability not only affects gods and no longer minions or objectives or anything.
Doesn't doesn't that change him from outpushing everyone in lane to getting outpushed by everyone in lane?
Exactly. The biggest strength of Sylvanas was that he could just automatically heal the wave and it would never ever get pushed. And now he is at
Bad.
best on par with other supports, so I think people like Geb and Athena will just be picked over him now. It doesn't make him
Yeah,
completely
they
not
seem
viable,
better.
like, but I think you'll pick Athena, Geb, Bacchus, uh, Ymir over
Sobek,
Sylvanas.
Ares,
Yeah. Okay, so maybe it makes him completely not
Kumbhakarna. No,
viable.
no,
Not
kidding,
Kumba.
I'm kidding. I went too far.
Yeah, it's tough to see him his biggest strength was lane push, which was cheesy. It's a step in the right direction, but they should probably buff him another place to compensate. But uh, he'll probably be almost never picked now. Maybe some teams will find a niche use for him as just a healer into the mid game. But if you want to pick him for the early game lane pressure and map pressure, it's a lot less viable. Um, so I think that's about it for the PTS changes. Um, any last thoughts, Macetodaface?
I miss beads.
I know Mace. I know. Is the best still alive, or is he?
It's all ogre now.
Thank you, best. Your commentary is spectacular. All right, guys. Thanks much for watching.